Globes, electric refrigerators, central heating? What about caller ID and call waiting? Stem cell isolation? Do any of these inventions hold significance in your life? I am sure that a refrigerator is something that everyone comes in contact with at least once a day, and caller ID is something that we also see quite often on our mobile phones. All of these life-changing inventions were created by women who set stepping stones for generations after them. These women were given the opportunity to shine and show their capabilities. They were given the chance to truly think outside the box and show that they are more than just a label. Here in Canada and many other modern societies, girls like me are given the chance to strive for their next opportunity to be a better member of society. In comparison to my cousins back home in Libya and many other girls in the developing world, that is an unheard of miracle. Girls in Libya and some parts of the developing world are meant to be left uneducated and with only minimal rights their society validates. Girls are sometimes not allowed to go to school and are forced to get married at a very young age. My community are given the chance to soar above and to stand up for ourselves and what we believe in. Personally, I do not have to be afraid that people in my society will try to deny me of my basic rights. I am free to speak about issues that affect me and the world around me. A big proof of this is the fact that I'm standing here today giving this speech. For as long as I can remember, I have always been interested in learning about major issues that affect our world. One particular subject I was always curious about focused on the developing countries. I wanted to know how my life was different from a girl living in a developing country. When I was younger, I remember reading a book called I Am Malala. I Am Malala follows the life of a girl named Malala Yousafzai as she fights for her home country of Pakistan. That book inspired me to research more about an issue I was already interested in. Throughout my life, I have always known the value of education and how lucky I am to have such easy access to it. I came to this realization after I heard my mother's dream of wanting to be a lawyer, but never having the chance of finishing her education. My mom comes from a society in which educating a girl is not seen as important. At the time of her telling me her story, I didn't understand why I had a better chance at a future who were in the same situation as Malala or grew up in the same society as my mother. I didn't understand it because, just like me, they are the future of this world. Girls are the keys that will unlock every door in the future looking for. If my mother was given to succeed, her life would have turned out much different. She could possibly have been the world's next best lawyer. And yet, every single day, there are girls all around the world who are not allowed to go to school. According to UNESCO, there are nearly 130 million girls between the ages of 6 to 17 who are not in school. Of that 130 million, there are 31 million girls of elementary age out of school. That is shocking. Many of the girls are from countries stricken with poverty. These young girls are forced into child marriages. They begin to have babies at a very young age, most of whom end up dying very early on. It becomes a never-ending cycle in which a girl is not allowed to go to school. She's married, she has children, and then her daughters cannot attend the school, causing the cycle to start all over again. And yet some forget that education is a right. No matter who you are, your place in the world, your socioeconomic background, you have the right to an education. Article 26 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. Education shall be compulsory, technical and professional education shall be made generally available, and higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. Why are there so many girls out of school, 2021, and yet there are still so many young children that should be in school and are not? There are many obstacles that a girl in the developing world has to face to be in a classroom. Schools in developing countries are few and far between, too far away from their local school to make attending an option. Children must walk for many hours to reach their school. Lack of funding for education is also another major issue. Many times, and ask for fees that students just can't afford, which is contrary to the UN's declaration that primary education be free. Cultural norms and practices also stop a girl from getting an education. Some people believe that women do not need to go to school because their job is to clean, cook, and take care of their families. Others simply refuse to send their daughters to school if they are being taught by male teachers. All of these barriers take part in preventing girls who have tremendous potential to learn and thrive. Let me tell you a story about a young Bangladeshi girl named Beasley. Beasley was a 13-year-old schoolgirl when she was wed to a man nearly twice her age. In an interview of her done by Journeyman Things When I Grow Up, I want to be a doctor so I can help people. But Beasley's parents and her soon-to-be husband had other plans for her. She would leave school and get married. She had no say in what her future would look like. Before the marriage, her husband promised to allow her to continue her education. But after she was married to him, he had other intentions. He says, "A good wife takes care of me when I come home from my shop. She'll make me food and get along with my parents." This is not an isolated incident, no. We keep hearing this over and over again with just a different name in a different country. In many countries like Bangladesh, women are quite invisible in their societies, and thus they are denied their basic rights and freedoms. Most of all, girls as young as Beasley are married off to have large families with men that are much, much older than them. Once they are married, they have no way to achieve a better life. They're trapped with only dreams of a better future. Why has this become the norm? Why is a 13-year-old girl being denied the chance to succeed? Girls' education is an extremely important instrument for the future. To begin, it is a solution to many of the global problems we face today. Educating a girl means you are more likely to educate every generation that comes after her. In fact, an African proverb says, if we educate a boy, we educate one person. If we educate a girl, we educate a family and a whole nation. If we invest in girls' education, it means we are investing in entire nations. An educated nation, meaning both boys and girls, means a prosperous nation. According to World Vision, educated women are far more likely to protect themselves and their children from deadly diseases. World Vision further states that children born to educated mothers are more likely to live past their first birthday. Want to end child marriages? Put a girl in school. In a developing country, on average, for every year a girl in school past 5th grade, her marriage is delayed by a year. Want to reduce overpopulation? Educate more girls. In fact, World Vision states that educated women tend to have smaller, healthier families. In a developing country like Brazil, an educated woman on average tends to have 3 children, while an illiterate woman tends to have 6 children. What about an end to corrupt governments? Educated women are more likely to be politically involved in their societies, leading to a more representative and effective government. Want a prosperous educated women are more likely to escape poverty, live more productive lives, and raise the standard of living for their families. This does not only help women escape poverty, but also causes their country's GDP to rise. Increase the number of educated women, and in turn, you make that country more successful. Now that we have all the facts, how do we go about educating girls? 130 million girls out of school is an extremely overwhelming number. If we start now, we will be able to combat this issue before it's too late. What we are doing now is not enough. We must increase our efforts in educating girls in the developing world. According to UNICEF, if we continue to fund girls' education at the current rate, it will take another 100 years before those 130 million girls are able to finish middle school. We must begin by informing people about this injustice. Start by telling those you know about why there are so many uneducated girls, why it's so overwhelming benefits. Support organizations that fight for girls' education, like Educate Girls and Malala Fund. Educate Girls has worked to help girls in rural and marginalized communities of India get the education they deserve, while Malala Fund has worked to reduce child marriages. In order for developing nations to prosper, we must extend tools such as technology into these nations. Tablets and computers will make education portable and students and their teachers. Malala Fund is investing in devices created by Harun Yassin to help out-of-school girls easily catch up on lessons. These tools would also help them connect to the outside world and gain knowledge that they may not receive with the limited resources they have. As a modern society, we truly take education for granted. We are blissfully unaware that many wish to have quality education. Please do not underestimate the value of education. All we really need to help educate all present and future girls is strong will and an understanding and acceptance that there is an issue to be addressed. Most people are not directly affected, so we need to educate them and give them a reason to care. If we were able to raise nearly $1 billion for the fire-ravaged Notre Dame Cathedral in just a day and a half, then what excuse do we have not to educate those 130 million girls? As Michelle Obama once said, investing in girls' education is the very best thing we can do, not just for daughters and granddaughters, but for their families, their countries, and their nations. Thank you.